Hey everybody, Pat Muller here with Legend Brands. We're really excited to introduce you to our brand new video training series. We're going to teach you how to learn to clean with confidence, and the bottom line is make more money.
You know, Pat, it's as we talk about upholstery today, it's amazing how many people don't have the confidence to clean upholstery. They're afraid of it, so they back away from it. And there's a lot of profit to be made cleaning upholstery. And in our 70 plus years of experience, I think you've probably made enough mistakes. I know I have, but I've learned from them. And we want to share that today with you.
I have to agree. And I guess we'd have to call it, Tim, learning how to not decorate your home in early American screw up, basically. You know, so why clean upholstery, Tim?
Well, you know, there's a lot of profit in upholstery, number one. And it's a professional image. You don't want to go into a home or a building and say, all we do is clean carpet here. All we do is clean tile here. You really want to be able to clean everything that's in a facility. And I would much rather go into a house and stay there for the morning cleaning the carpet, the tile, and the upholstery. You know, setting up and breaking down is the hardest part of the day, so let's make money while we're there.
So basically what you're saying is do less jobs of the day, but do more work at each location.
Exactly. Higher ticket prices are okay.
I like that. Profit is really not a bad word in this industry. So Tim, I have a question for you. Does a person have to have a truck mount in order to do upholstery cleaning?
No, Pat. You know, truck mounts are fine, but portables are equally as suited for upholstery cleaning.
Is heat always necessary?
Not always necessary. It does help. You know, heat speeds up the molecular activity of the cleaning agent, but you can do warm water or hot water from a faucet as well.
I have to agree with that. You know, I remember the old days when we first started out cleaning upholstery. And if it tells you anything, I'm pretty sure you're pretty close, Tim, but I started cleaning it back in 1977 when the portable extractor we had didn't have any heat, and I think it was maybe 75 or 100 PSI. So, you know, amazing how technology and equipment has changed in the past 42 years.
Boy, you are old, Pat. I don't remember that. But yeah, I do go back quite a ways, and I do remember the humble beginnings of the industry.
Yeah, it was really something. There's a lot of history there. So we'd like to take a little bit of time and talk to you guys about some of the tools that are necessary in cleaning for today's upholstered fibers.
So, Pat, we have laid out here all of the tools of the trade, so to speak. And what is the most important tool on this table? It's the white towel. So these are something you want to have many of, and you'll be using these often. One of the uses for a white towel is also to check for color fastness, and having a plastic clamp to put your clamp your white towel to your upholstery to check for color fastness is something you might be needing. The other thing is nitrile gloves. So a 6 millimeter seems to be a pretty stout one. If you're going to be getting into solvent cleaning, you want to have some solvent resistant gloves. We have an arsenal of brushes here. This is what's called a velvet carding brush. And velvet carding brush is very stiff bristles. And you don't use this to brush all along, you use it to brush on edge so that we can comb out the fibers. The other brush, a grooming brush, is a softer brass brush. And this one here is a little bit more forgiving. So we can use these brushes in a lot of different ways, which we'll show you when we start cleaning. The other one is a tamping brush, again utilizing our white towel. We use a tamping brush not as a brush, but as a brush to tamp. So if we're trying to pull something out of the material, we would lay this over the material and tamp on it. And then horsehair brushes. Horsehair brushes are not going to abrade the fabric. We are working with delicate fabrics. So a horsehair brush is great for scrubbing, but it's not going to affect or pill the fabric. We have some shears here, and shears are good for breaking, cutting loose strings, loose fibers. It's also good to have some tabs. When we're cleaning upholstery that has buttons, we can use these tabs for covering a button so that we don't have rust issues. We also use these tabs to go under the legs of the furniture so that we don't bleed furniture dye into the carpet. These upholstery mitts are also good in place of a brush. You can use these for your agitation when working with shampoos. So these are also good to have. Pat, you want to explain some of the products you have on your side?
Certainly. So some of the things that we run into in having the complete tool arsenal, one of the most important things is your crevice tool, where we collect all the popcorn kernels, the remote controls, and everything else that are involved down in there. It's amazing how many people don't take the time to clean out that crevice, and then the customer basically think it's an incomplete cleaning because of all the things that they find in there. But I think one of the most overlooked thing is in the principles of cleaning is the actual dry vacuuming of the upholstery. Tim, you as well know how much soil you can actually remove in a dry form. So they have tools like the air-driven rug rat. You can even do a dry power vacuum using your upholstery tool. Some of the other things that we're really going to get into today when we talk about pre-inspection is the ability to use your black light, your ultraviolet light, to identify urine problems, optical brighteners that are involved from previous cleaning attempts, that type of thing. A couple other things that I think are really important is to be able to control and check your pH. You can be as basic as using your regular pH paper. You can also go into more advanced technology and using an electronic pH pen. I think these are really a great tool. I think one of the things that most cleaners are going to find is they're actually customers are very amazed when somebody takes a pH paper or a pH pen out and actually takes a reading. And the customer actually says, "What is that you're doing?" I don't think I've ever seen that before.
No. Well, I think the word pre-test or, pre-inspection, some people say, I don't have time for that. But pre-inspection is really a good time to sell your services too.
I agree. So we have a few different type of sprayers that we can use. We have your trigger sprayer. When you're cleaning a lot of upholstery, I think one of the downfalls to the trigger sprayer is your arm gets really tired in doing that. And that's why I really like to use the hand pump up, the 2-quart sprayers.
Yeah.
Gives you a good even pressure for a long period of time without wearing out your arm. Another couple of tools that we use that are really important, especially when we're going to talk about our low moisture, our dry foam system, is a good natural sea sponge. This sea sponge is going to give you the ability to deliver a very dry foam to the upholstery, so we get lots of cleaning solution involved in it, but we don't have a lot of moisture.
Right.
So a nice natural sea sponge is really important. Couple of other tools that I think are really important, especially for our more fragile materials. A good piece of screen fabric that you have like on your window screens, and I prefer the fiberglass. This is a great tool for laying over very fragile upholstery pieces. You can do your agitation and your extraction directly through this without causing any damage or fraying to the material. Another thing that's really important, especially when we're dealing with odor problems, which we'll get into a little bit later, is a good plastic bag. Be able to put your cushion inside there, and we'll show you how to inject your good odor or controlling products into there and be able to distribute that completely through the material. And of course, we need a good drop cloth. I like the moving pads, and we want to protect the carpet or the floor that we're working on. That's a great way for you to go in there, especially if you're not cleaning the carpet before or after you do the upholstery cleaning. So I think if you look at the arsenal of tools that we have set up, all of these are necessary to do a good professional job. But one of the things that I think is really important to talk about is, I'm not sure if most people understand, more upholstery is damaged by drying the cushions on the deck of the sofa. It's the most unstable part of the die of the sofa is that decking material. So having a good piece of plastic or butcher paper that you can TP or lay out your cushions to dry on the floor, I think is a simple and easy way.
Good advice.
All right, so now we've taken a look at all the tools that we would use as a professional upholstery cleaner, and I know it really does seem like a lot of tools. But the neat part about these are they don't take up a lot of room, and you can actually put them in a plastic tote inside of your vehicle and have them all ready to use when you're doing your professional cleaning. So let's take just a second and talk about some of the tools that are really necessary, and that is your extraction tool. Tim?
Pat, when you talk about tools, there's really only two choices in this industry. And one is the ProChem professional upholstery tool. Now, this has been around the industry for quite a few years. Investment cast head, a very ergodynamic. We have a built-in vacuum, so you can leave the truck mount running outside. You can cut back your vacuum if need be, We also have an adjustable pressure, so we can leave our pressure outside at the truck and adjust it right here, so we can bring our pressure down for upholstery cleaning. The other thing is this is a great tool for using on stairs, but the new Sapphire tool, I've been the ProChem guy for a lot of years, but the new Sapphire tool I think really makes upholstery cleaning, even for the novice, a safe bet. Pat, do you want to talk about that?
I'd love to. You know, Tim, we've come a long ways in tools and technology today. So some of the great advantages of the Sapphire Scientific Upholstery Pro, number one is this high impact polymer that we use. The other great advantage of the tool being clear is you can actually see when you've removed the majority of the water out, so you know when you're actually done. And I also think it's a great sales tool to be able to show your customers how much soil you're actually removing from the upholstery. So some of the great benefits of this tool is we're using a vacuum system that we call a shear. Basically, we have vacuum ports on both sides of the jet. So as we're delivering the water, and we'll show you this in the video as we're actually using this, we'll be able to show you how this tool can be used as a low moisture cleaning system, but be able to flush the majority of the soil out of there. Another great advantage of this tool is we can actually lock the trigger open. So ergonomically, it's very lightweight. We don't get a lot of arm pump when we're using our trigger, especially if we're cleaning a lot of upholstery. And just like the ProChem tool, we also have a vacuum release on there for your more gentle, fragile materials. So I think all in all the years I've been doing this, I've never seen a tool like the Sapphire Upholstery Pro. It is great to use and very lightweight.
It is, and it's good to have an internal jet as well as an external jet, because an external jet we can mist our piece down and then come and vacuum it.
I agree.
So we have the Upholstery Pro tool here, and we just want to do a quick demonstration to show you the shear action of how this works. And this can be used on the most aggressive forms of cleaning, but it can also be used, as we demonstrated, even on delicate fabrics. We have a piece of white linen here. I just want to demonstrate how the shear action only cleans the surface of the material without penetrating into the backing. And again, we talked about how drying is critical, cleaning on the dry side, making sure you control your moisture. A tool like this makes easy work of that.
So as you can see, we use this as an example. This is a very, very thin piece of upholstery or material. It's not used normally on upholstery. We'd see this
more of a drapery.
Yeah, more of a drapery material. But we use this as an example of how we can actually control the moisture using the shear action of the Upholstery Pro, even for the finest, most delicate fabrics.
Yeah. Even on upholstery, anything you find, you can clean with that.
Yeah, in all the years that I've done this, Tim, I have never seen a tool like the Upholstery Pro. All right, so we want to talk a little bit about setting up your workstation when you're working inside a customer's home. I think one of the most important parts is if you're cleaning carpets and upholstery, always clean the upholstery first. That way, if there is any overspray on the floor, then we're protecting the carpet from that.
Right.
So we want to start out with a really good drop cloth. I like using a moving pad like this because of its ability to absorb the excess moisture.
Yeah.
And having a set of fold-up sawhorses that take up very little room in your vehicle. Again, one of the first points that we made is most cleaners complain about the back breaking of it.
Sure.
It is bending over, doing all that kind of work. So being able to elevate your products or your furniture or upholstery items up off of the floor is really important.
It's a shame you don't learn that until you're about 45 years old and realize I should have done it this way my whole career.
When you have a couple of bulging discs. Another thing that you can do as well is if you don't want to go with the fold-up sawhorses, we can actually take 5-gallon buckets and turn them upside down.
Yeah.
And set one leg on each bucket, and that gets you up off of the floor as well. So you're not bent over, and it's not so laborious and not so hard on your back.
It really helps.
So having the right tools to make a comfortable workstation, I think is one of the most important parts for a cleaner to even think about.
Right. And I think as far as charging for your services, people see that this is a whole separate workstation from the carpet. So we're not charging the same fee. This is something separate from what we're doing over here.
Well, I think something we said earlier too, Tim, is, anything that I can do that makes a customer look at me and wonder what it is or why is it that I'm doing that
Right.
allows me to charge whatever I want to charge
Right.
for my services. So I think image is so important when it comes to being a professional in the upholstery cleaning realm. So one of the things that we're going to talk about today, amongst our tools, is choosing the right tools, having all them at your disposal to do the correct cleaning. But I think that one of the most important parts is your pre-inspection, and that's something we're going to talk about next.